So let me tell you my hug story, or it's actually a few stories inside of this one story. One of the things that I noticed when we moved from Atlanta to Denver was the people that I've come across don't hug a lot. And I'm from the South, and you speak to everybody, you hug, and it was a little bit of a culture shock among other things. There were some other things, but let's keep this light. I'm used to seeing people hug a little bit more often, and so there was a situation at this job I had just for like half a year. I think was about the amount of time I was there, and this lady that I had grown close with, we were in the room where the printer was, and she was sharing the story with me about her son who had, left home, and now she's an empty nester. And she was just saying how she had missed him a lot, and she was sad, but she really wasn't sharing it with him because she didn't want him to stress. She didn't want him to know that she was like really missing him, like seriously missing him. And so she got emotional. And I'm from the South, so I did like this, and we hugged, but I noticed, she had to like get herself composed, and she backed off, and I told her it was okay, because sometimes we need a hug. So then when I got to the job that I just left, there was a moment some months ago. The person who was in charge of the orientation, that particular training, she it was her last day. She's moving back east where her family is. And on that particular day, for the very first time and the only time, I rode the shuttle to work, which is a couple of minutes away from my house. And when I walked, like when I got to the station, I saw her in the distance, and we both smiled, and it was her last day, and she usually doesn't take the shuttle, and that was my first time taking the shuttle, and it was like, wow, surprise. So we rode to work that day, like 4 or 5 minutes away. And so then fast forward to the end of the day, it was her last day. And I was going back to the office with two of my coworkers, and they knew her, the trainer, longer than I did, and she had come by the office to say goodbye to everybody, and she was just saying she was happy that she didn't miss them before she left out. And they said their goodbyes, and they're like, oh, because she was driving back home with her dog, and they were telling her safe travels, and so was I. And I was just kind of standing back, not wanting to take over because they knew her longer. And they just said bye, and no one hugged. And I was like, well, is that it? I didn't say anything, but in my mind, I'm thinking, wow, you've known this person for at least like a year, and, it's a great relationship. And I was wondering whether or not it's just where society is now, with, like my kids will joke, about touching or hugging. You have to ask first, And so maybe that's where things are. You just can't assume. So I don't just, especially in this new space that I'm in, this new place, I don't just hug people. But at home, when you're close to people and you've known people for half a year or more, you hug. Like if someone's upset, you might, touch their shoulder. Hugging is just more frequent, as far in my life. I'm sure there are some people here in Denver, Colorado who are huggers, but the people that I've met are just not. And maybe it's just to keep things, professional. I don't know what the reason is. So my last day, there was pretty much like a parade of just people who were, sad to see me go, and they just came by my desk, and like everybody was hugging me. And of course, I loved it, but just kind of shocked me. Some people seemed emotional. And it made me feel good. It made me feel like, wow, I'm going to miss them. They're going to miss me. And I have made, hopefully, a lasting good impression on these people, the time that I was there. And I think when my husband asked me, why did he, why do I think that I was so emotional that day? And I think that probably had something to do with it, because everybody was hugging me, and it was like, like the type of goodbye that I'm used to, the type of goodbye that I would have if I had said goodbye to some people at home. And it just touched me. It really was, just like I said, bittersweet. But that was the sweet part, that people missed me. Well, people were going to miss me, and that they were sad to see me go. And we hugged.